There. Okay, well, we, Keith and I, would like to just have a little discussion about the subject of the real you or the real us. So, Keith, tell me who you are. Tell our audience.
Well, I think the real you is always going to be defined by what you were around as you were a child, what way your parents brought you up, what did you see as you were growing up? Have you an inclination to be honest and that because that's what you saw in your household? Is your inclination to be kind to people because that's what you saw in your parents? And I think that's what's rubbed off on me. I love helping people. I love being around people, guiding people. Um, when I'm on my power walk in the mornings, I'll actually even pick up a worm or a snail off the road and throw it into the field because if I left them there, a car would drive over them.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
and that's the real me because that's what I like doing. I like helping, and they don't know what's happening to them. They're probably saying, "Oh God, what's happening?" as they're looking in the sky as they're being thrown into a field. But it's it's saving their life, and that's the way I operate with people as well. I like to save lives. I like to help them. I get great kick out of watching good being happening and good being done. And I think there's too much badness in the world. There's too much harm in the world. There's too much negativity. And I think I personally I think I have to be the opposite of those. And
Yeah.
that's basically me. So uh, tell us about you, Don, because it's your birthday today, and make sure and show everybody your nails because you were off getting your nails done.
Yes, I was getting my nails, a little holiday, a little holiday. Yeah,
So
no.
tell
Um,
us about you.
well, Keith, I'm very similar in that, I was raised on a farm. So as a farm girl, you work hard. You work hard and the day doesn't end until the job gets done.
Yeah,
And,
true.
I grew up on a milking farm, so we had cattle and we were committed. We were committed to what had to get done.
Yeah,
And there was back in those days, okay, I will share with everyone because I'm proud of it. 68 today. And back then, you just didn't misbehave. You
no,
you knew what was right, you did what was right, or you tried to do the best you could.
yeah,
And that's what was expected of you.
yeah.
And so that's kind of me. And I was the youngest of four people in my family. I had a sister that was just about a year older than me, and then two brothers older than that. So I guess I was the baby of the family. I always thought I got the worst end of the deal. They thought that I was got the
Yep.
benefits.
Yeah.
But it was what we did was hard work, and that's what was expected of us.
When you talk about you were corrected, as a youngster, there was a great meme, a picture on Facebook one day. It was a young lad running like hell, and the mother behind with a wooden spoon or a stick or whatever it was, and the title was "Me and My Mum Out Training."
That's good. That's
And
good.
but
Yep,
that's
yep.
the way it was. I mean, I remember getting the belt of a wooden spoon from time to time, and then after a while, it was the threatening of the wooden spoon actually did it.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be, but we had to get a few belts first, and it wasn't a bit of harm. And I think in today's world, uh, the kids seem to know that they can't get reprimanded. And then they push the envelope the whole time. And next thing is the envelope is gone.
Yes, yes. And
That,
and
and
fi- and the parents kind of just give up now,
yes,
you know,
yeah,
and they don't have that fear Like, I mean, mine was my dad's belt. I never
Yep.
really saw the belt, but that belt,
Fear
that
of it.
threatening was there of the belt. And
Yeah.
I will never forget this because I was a senior in high school and I was coming home from prom and it was kind of late. Unfortunately, my dad was just getting up to go out and milk the cows, and he wasn't like, okay, go rest. He was like, change your clothes. It's time to do the chores.
Yep. Yeah.
So
No excuses.
no excuses. It was, I got to sleep later that day, but yeah, it was what we grew up with, like you said, kindness and love for others and helping people and doing what needed to be done.
And back then as well, you would have had all the farmers would have spent days in each other's neighboring farms getting in the crops,
Yeah.
doing things that spend a couple of days here and a couple of days here and a couple of days, and they all
Yeah.
helped each other. There was fabulous camaraderie then.
Yeah, it was. I mean, when we had to, get the corn picked and get the corn out. It was a neighborhood thing. You
Yeah.
bring your tractor and your wagon, and in most cases it was the spouse of the house that was
Yes.
creating the meals for those
Correct.
farmers, and it was helping everyone. You
Yeah.
helped everyone. I mean, I remember riding the bus to school, and it was a bad snow day, but we still had school, and my dad got on his tractor and was pushing the snow out of the way for the school bus to get through.
Yeah.
I remember that so well
Yeah.
too, because that's
That's
what they did.
That's how much he didn't want to look at you all day. He made sure the bus got through.
The bus had to get through the gravel roads, and yeah, it was a beautiful life. It was a
Yeah,
beautiful life.
yeah. Do you know the film? It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, right.
That's
Exactly.
what comes to mind. I have to watch that every Christmas.
Yes. Yes, there
It's
are
not
some
Christmas
great
if you don't
things.
watch that. Yeah,
Great things that come from, how we all grew up and what is the real us. And
yeah.
so, just tell me a little bit about what is the Keith now. And we'll do a couple minutes on Keith now and what Keith does, and we'll wrap this up.
Uh, and for finish, I actually have a very good story about a farmer who milks cows,
Okay.
which I think people will enjoy. So Keith today is very much focused on the similarly helping as many people as possible, but it's from a health and wellness perspective. Obviously, I go out of my way to help people all the time in any different aspect or helping the parish stuff. And next Saturday we're going to cut a hedge that's beside the school, and we'll have a work party to do that. So I'm always helping somewhere. But from a health and wellness perspective, I love helping people to solve health issues. And we've seen the most fabulous things over the last 17 years helping people correct health challenges where they thought there was no hope, and they've solved their problem. And I spend time and I had Zooms with two people today who are in trouble, and I believe that they now see the light on how they can solve that problem. So I'll wait for them to come back to me, and if they're ready, then I'll start working with them.
Yeah.
And so that's me in a nutshell.
That's great. That's great. Well, and I am still pretty much helping people as well with my Avon business that I've been in for 42 years, and filling their needs and getting the products that they need, suggesting what might be good for them, and enjoying sharing what I can. So that is me, the current me. So now let's
Yeah.
go back to that story, Keith.
Yes, yeah, it's one I heard ages ago, and do you know what, you reminded me of it when you talked about dairy farming.
Hmm.
And let's work on the assumption that everybody that listens to this is going to have a sense of humor. So if they don't have a sense of humor, there's no point in listening to you and I. But
Right.
there's there was this dairy farmer who was called into jury duty, and they all listened to the case, and they went into the jury room, and they were supposed to say whether it was guilty or innocent. But all it was 11 of them all said this guy was guilty, but the dairy farmer said no. He says, no, I can't convict him on circumstantial evidence. He says, because the whole case was built around circumstantial evidence. So they tried to talk him around and tried to talk him around, and they had another few votes, and he said, no way. He says, I can't. And they said, can you tell us what is the issue you have with circumstantial evidence? Well, he says, as you know, he says, I'm a dairy farmer. And he says, when I milk the cows morning and evening, they'd be doing it by hand back in those days. And he said, I had one really stubborn cow, and I used to leave her to last. But she got more stubborn as time went on. So I had let all the rest of them out and had this cow left in it. He says, I sat in under the cow on my stool and I started working away. He says, and I got a few squeezes into the bucket. He says, and next thing, this left leg hooked around and knocked me off the stool, milk everywhere. And he said, I had to pick myself up and start again. But he says, I got some baler twine and I tied the leg over to one side so as that she couldn't kick. So he says, I set in underneath and I started to do a few pulls again. And he says, I had at about an inch of milk in the bottom of the bucket, and she managed to knock me over with her left leg. Hooked around with the left leg. I was on the floor, milk everywhere. I got baler twine, he says, and I tied the left leg over to the left, and now she couldn't kick anymore. Sat in underneath, and I went to start a few pulls again. And he says, glory be to God. He says, she swished around with the tail, caught me in the eye, knocked me off the stool, milk everywhere. He says, I'll fix this. And he got some baler twine and he tied the tail up to the rafter. So he was just about to get going again. And he says, he needed to have a pee, but you know the way there's a big shore that runs down behind all the cows when they're standing there for milking to take anything waste that comes out from either orifice. But he says, just as I was undoing my trousers, he says, my wife walked in. Now, he says, if you can convince my wife that I was only going to have a pee, he says, I'll convict your man.
Oh, okay, that is good. That is good. That is great. So to end this, Keith, how can they contact you?
You can get me on LinkedIn or Facebook. Very easy. This is going to be up on Facebook, so it's easy to connect with me, and I shall help anybody who would like to get into the nuts and bolts on this.
Great. And you can text me or call me at 248-408-5833, Dawn with Avon. Thank you, Keith. That was a great interaction with you on The Real Us. Okay, have a
Thanks,
good
Don.
one. Bye-bye.